This is the Toll Bridge Commission, November 24th meeting. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic
For which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Would Secretary take the roll call?
Chairman
Present.
and the Vice Chair,
Present.
Hartney, and Mr. Porcelli,
Here.
and Mr. Johnson.
Here.
All are present.
Thank you very much. Has everybody seen the agenda? Are there any additions to the agenda that we should put on?
No.
There being none, could I get an approval of the agenda motion?
Motion to approve.
Support?
Moved and supported. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you very much. As far as I know, there are no presentations, correct?
Uh-huh.
All right. This is public comment. Are there any public comments? Being none, we'll move on to the approval of the minutes. Has everybody reviewed the minutes?
Yes.
And could I get a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, very good. Department finances.
So we actually have some pretty exciting news this month, thanks to the wonderful efforts of Maureen and our manager. You know, I talked about how the revenue is actually 3 different buckets, and we've struggled a bit getting the information we need. We're still struggling with getting the information we need from the software company. However, I met with Maureen a few times, and she and I have come up with a system of on a daily basis, determining what is actually cash fares, what's crossings, what's actual crossings versus what's being added to credit cards for future crossings. So we were able to get a really good number starting July 1st, and now we are caught up through October 31st. So I'm still waiting to get a report out of the software company, because that's really tells me really where we're at and compare it to what we have. But I feel that we're in a much better place with the finances and how things are recorded between the 3 buckets. As of October 31st. Maureen has worked very diligently to get everything recorded and keep maintaining and recording everything on a daily basis, which is a challenge when there's 3 different sources of credit card payments. So when you looking at the balance sheet, the total assets went down about 500.
Yeah. And that issue, is that already rolled into these numbers, or is that still yet to be finalized?
That's already reflected in these numbers.
Thank you.
Yep.
So the report you're looking for is from the same company that we're no longer communicating with and no longer paying?
Correct. We did.
How do we expect to get any
Yes,
information from them?
Yeah, they say they're still working on it. We had 3 monthly invoices outstanding. It was recommended by our attorney that we release one of them, which we have, and which we did in October, and since then we have not paid them another payment. And there's been communications to them, but doesn't seem to be enough or feedback back to us for what we need with the operations and the reporting to verify that we have the correct account balances, and especially the things that are deferred revenue on the balance sheet, because if the bridge closes tomorrow, I have to know who to pay and how much, and I can't get a report that says that. But we're able to use the forms that Maureen used previously that tracked activity on a daily basis and really fine-tune the differences between the revenue that should be recognized on that day versus revenue that should be recorded as deferred revenue instead. So it's still a work in process, but we're much better, I think in much better shape right now than we have been since April. So
Do you think, I mean, I can get on my phone if not, can this enlarge this just even for the people at home to see? Can that be? Oh, that's nice, thanks.
is that better?
Oh, wonderful, yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. So, the customer deposit bridge passes and the deferred revenue bridge passes, those change on a daily basis now, as well as appropriately recognizing what should be true revenue at any given time. We don't have all the information we needed to work with for the first 3 months, but if I can get the reports I need from the software company, that will tell me, like if I look at the deferred revenue bridge passes and I get a report of everyone's account balance, I can adjust it to that, and then I know we would be good going forward.
So what actually drives the fact that you're reconciling that balance on a daily basis? Mm-hmm. Why?
Because of the credit card activity, when credit cards are used, it takes a day or two for the credit card processing company to decline or approve the card, and another day or two to transmit it into our account. So we're always behind a little bit, and the processing companies, nobody's perfect. So in order to make sure that the proper revenue or the proper money coming in, all of it is being deposited into our account, Maureen tracks it on a daily basis. Before we purchased the bridge, Maureen showed me the system she uses, and I know working with credit cards can be a challenge. And looking at it from an internal control perspective as well, I felt that her system was a very good system, a very solid system, and the fact that she looks at it every day to make sure we know the money coming in, and the sheets that she does, there are several columns, and it tracks the money that came in through each of the 3 credit cards, and what's actual crossings, and what's actual cash fares, and what is actually supposed to go on people's accounts and in a deferred revenue. So it's a very thorough process that's done on a daily basis. And as far as, again, for money coming in, you really have to have strong internal controls for that. And I feel that the system she had, I wanted to continue using. We've finally worked things out, and where she was able to basically still use the same system, and where she was pulling numbers from different reports in order to make the entries into the system. So.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
revenue and expenditure account as of October 31st, 2025. And it may be a little bit higher this month, because of finally getting all the entries in since July. As far as what's true revenue, what should go into deferred revenue. The actual revenue for the month was just under $355,000. I highlighted some of the expenditures of things that were which were higher this month, or one-time things this month. So for the retirement cash in lieu, we had budgeted $4,000 per person. When we purchased the bridge, it was very difficult to get things in line between a private company and a government, as far as the state pension system and everything. And while the board was determining whether or not they were using a staffing company, we said, okay, you're committed here for 90 days, and we will give you a $4,000 payment that you can use to put into an IRA. So since they fulfilled that responsibility quite a while ago, we made the payment to the original employees during October. So that's what the $40,000 is.
So that's a one-time.
I'm sorry?
That's a one-time.
Yes, correct,
Perfect.
yes. Farther down under insurance and bonds, we made a payment in October of just over $660,000. When we obtained our property liability insurance at the time of the purchase, we were only granted a 6-month policy. And because there were questions and concerns about the stability of the bridge, the risk, things like that. So when that came up from renewal, our insurance agent was able to negotiate an annual policy this time. And so that was $660,000. And we've talked about the prepaid insurance, and making sure we're just allocating the costs that applies to that year. And I explained, with our normal policy, our renewal date is so close to our fiscal year that it's a minor calculation, and we don't typically do it. Well, now I'm going to do it for this. And there was the last policy, the liability policy, that was just under $200,000. It was not within a normal range for our fiscal year. So when I do the year-end close, I will do the calculation to just allocate based on the number of months the expense that applies to the current fiscal year, and the rest will go in prepaid insurance. And then that'll be, once we get to the next fiscal year, that amount will be put into the next fiscal year.
Question on policies. How many policies do we have currently? Insurance policies.
Yes.
How many?
4 or 5.
Just for the bridge?
For the bridge.
Just for the bridge.
I'm sorry, yeah. 3?
Two major ones. There might be one additional minor one covered by, I think, Chubb, just for like the trailer or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But there is a property policy and there's a liability policy. So 2 primary policies.
And the liability was the $660K.
That was the property.
Was the property?
Yep, the
Okay.
liability was the $198,000 that was paid a couple months ago.
What type of risk do we see this insuring a small toll bridge is a challenge? I can imagine those phone calls.
So
Are we because I'm already in 2026. You think you're going to forecast an increase? Are they giving you an idea as far as what the increase may be? I mean, because even 3 to 5% would be significant on this amount.
right. right. I would probably, just based on the, not that the bridge can compare to really anything else in the township, but just knowing what our regular increase is, what I would probably estimate at least a 10% increase. There, because until the upgrades are done, we're gonna be in the same situation. And so because of the age of the bridge, that's where the risks are.
I would also say that one of the driving forces on, especially the property policy, is the current bridge design condition. So I think some of that answer also should include, depending upon when the construction takes place on the bridge, that should reduce the overall premium, just simply because the property is, the cost to insure is going to be less once that work is complete. So depending upon when the construction project takes place, we'll have to look at that as well.
Okay, but right now, we look for the property and the liability around 10% is what you'd forecast.
Correct, for going into the next fiscal year. Yeah,
Teresa,
yes.
if I just may add, excuse me, I'm sorry. When I met with our agent, he was at the township for a little bit. Did we go through Jim for this? So when I met with him, he was stating, it's just what Derek said, that we were shocked the liability insurance was so high. I mean, we're going to be straight with you. We did not anticipate that, but he said because of the age, because of the condition, and once again, we're not talking about catastrophic failure. What we're talking about is parts breaking. And we just have some old moving parts. But when we upgrade that in 26, or start whenever we're going to start the upgrade, and when we're done, Jim did say it's quite a difference simply because the liability isn't there. So it's exactly what Derek just said. So at least we can see in a few years when this project is done that at least it appears this isn't going to keep climbing, just as our medical benefits for the township just keeps climbing. I mean, it does.
Right.
I mean, our liability insurance just keeps climbing. I mean, it just doesn't stop. So, but he said this will not keep doing that. Now, I believe him. I mean, I'm just saying that's exactly what Derek is saying, but I did speak to him personally.
So just to put this figure into perspective, for the 6-month policy, it was about $390,000. So he was able to negotiate a slightly lower premium because that would have meant almost an $800,000 policy for a full year. So
Well, the liability is accidents, whatever, on the
Yeah,
bridge,
right,
and
yeah.
property is replacement in lieu of,
Right.
or some type of repairs.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the replacement value listed at on that policy?
I think we're insured for 10. And to correct what I said earlier, there's actually probably 4 policies. So there's property, liability, excess liability, and then a minor policy for the trailer.
Yeah.
So because the initial liability coverage was only going to bind for $1 million, which we wanted additional coverage above and beyond that. So we purchased excess liability, I think, for an additional 3 or something like that. So that came in on a different policy. So to better state what I mentioned earlier, I think there's 4. So
Thank you.
Very good. Okay.
Going a little further down under maintenance computer software, that's the monthly payment to PSX for our
The
software.
valet manager?
Yes, yep. So that was the one payment that we released, so that was for July, actually, so.
So we're on their books for non-accrual for what, $36,000? Are we tallying that, or we just expect that? How are we accounting for that? Because we owe them that money.
Well, during the
eventually.
year, we do everything on a cash basis until I do the year-end close. So depending on where we are at March 31st, depending on how many bills are outstanding, that would be accrued as an accounts payable, and then the expense account would reflect that as well. So and again, with the accounts payable, because that's a current liability, so presumably within, hopefully way less than a year, we will have all these resolved. But a letter has been sent to them by our attorney, so they know we made this payment, but we're holding the other two we currently have. So there's not any danger of them just shutting everything off either. That was the purpose of the letter from the attorney.
Yeah, I bring this up merely because we reconcile every month. So if we have 1 month where retained earnings are much less, it could be because we've caught up with them, right? So I
Right,
just
right.
want everyone to appreciate that there's a bill out here that's not here.
So I would say the budget is on a cash basis, so but it encompasses a whole year, and it does take into account whatever additional expenses might come after the end of the year that should be recorded as accounts payable. So that is built in there as well. But what's recorded now is consistent with the budget and the fact of we're doing it on a cash basis. The numbers, however, in this case, not so much. But this year is a huge learning experience for us. So I'll line the budget better when I do the budget amendment, so.
Okay.
The property tax line, we had one final bill to pay for the personal property taxes of $35,000. We knew going in that, when we had the closing, the real property taxes are prorated, but the personal property taxes are not. So the prior owner had the toll bridge classified as personal property. That's a very permanent structure, and so we've classified it as real property, but we have to follow the assessing laws at the time of the purchase and at December 31st. So we knew we would be paying and that's why it's a high amount, is because of the actual toll bridge amount is classified as personal property. We will only have this expense for the 25-26 year. After that, it will be marked as exempt for both the township and the city of Riverview.
But no property tax, but we have to pay the 1 year,
Yeah,
and then we get relief, and there's no more
there's no more after that.
property
Correct,
tax to Riverview.
Correct.
Very
So-
good. Now, I see year-to-date, you're at 57,035 this month, and.
So
but
that's
that was-
year-to-date.
Yeah, that's year-to-date.
Yeah.
And there was a budget of 162,000, so is there more coming on there? Yeah,
So this was just the summer property taxes. The winter tax bills are going out next week. So we have the winter tax bills as well.
So will our own winter tax have our own assessment for our own repair?
Yes. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. I mean, you can look at it a couple different ways, and there's been a couple interpretations of the assessing laws, but, the bottom line is the city of Riverview's position was that they were not marking things exempt until 2026. And if we didn't pay this, it's not just us, well, it's affecting us because it's affecting the different funds, but it's also affecting Grosse Ile Schools, and it's also affecting Wayne County. So, we knew, again, we thought, which is why this was a little delayed, because we thought we didn't have to pay this, and then we did, and then we didn't, and then we finally paid it. So, and we'll do that for the winter taxes, and then we'll be done.
But this 105, this is going to reset for 2026 because this is on a fiscal calendar year?
The
I'm
105.
I'm looking at the property taxes.
Oh,
The budget was 162,725.
So the 105 is the balance of the budget that's left. So I'm anticipating that the winter taxes between the city of Riverview and the township will be $105,000.
But that's due in what, February?
Yes, but the bills will come out next week.
So you'll pay that in this, okay,
Yep.
thank you. That was the question. Thanks.
Yep.
Very good.
Yep. Pay it and get it over with. So,
Make
and
us
then
look really good in 2026.
yeah. And then the last significant difference this month was an equipment purchase. The $13,811 was for some camera installation at the toll bridge.
And I believe, Derek, you included that, it was in the packet. I
Yeah.
saw all the installs, the cameras and stuff. So either you or Brian, so thank you.
So if you look at the third column for the month, we had just under $355,000 in revenue and $869 in expenditures. So we had actually excess expenditures this month, really 100% due to the property, to the insurance of $514,000. Yep.
Okay,
Thank you, Teresa.
thank you very much. Action items. We have the acceptance of the staffing proposal. I'd like to ask Derek to give us a little background before we take action.
Good evening. The proposal before you this evening is to consider a recommendation to the Township Board for a staffing company to basically employ the staff at the Grosio Toll Bridge. As you know, when the Township purchased the toll bridge back in April, it employed the employees that the previous owner had employed, and that was a condition of the purchase agreement. It had been the intention for the township to look at outsourcing the staffing, utilizing a third party to employ those individuals. So with that in mind, proposals were requested back in April from any vendors that may have been interested in providing those services. The township received, I believe, 7 or 8 proposals for those services, and ultimately this group narrowed that proposer list down to three companies. Those 3 companies were interviewed here about a month or so ago, and ultimately the one that I believe we feel rises to a level of the type of provider that we're looking for was the company, the Wallman Unlimited Company out of the west side of the state. So before you this evening is once again a proposal or a recommendation to the board for the approval to enter into a contract with the Wallman Company for those services, hopefully to be put into place on January 1st. I think in conducting the interviews and reviewing the proposals, the Wallman Company rose higher than the rest, especially with regards to the benefit and pay that they were going to provide for the existing employees. They are planning on hiring all the existing employees that are currently at the bridge at the most comparable pay and benefits as to what those employees are receiving right now. So that was, I think, a very attractive factor. I believe that the commission did an excellent job in reviewing those proposals and were very thorough. Your interview and also your analysis of the proposals to compare how each one would be servicing not only the township but also those employees. So that is what is before you this evening for consideration. In addition to that, there also is a condition within that motion to recommend that the office coordinator position remain as an employee of the township and not be employed by the Wallman Company. And there are a variety of different reasons for that, but primarily, that position to retain its control and not have any potential risk of that individual in that position being taken to a different, I guess, division within the Wallman's profile or portfolio, I think is important. And then also, there's a little bit more control and oversight and control of operations there with having that position as an employee of the township. So that is what is before you this evening for consideration.
Thank you.
Thank you
Hey,
very much.
Derek, before we go on this, or Patrick, just so you know, this recommendation, once we vote on this, goes to the township board, but it's not that big a deal. I just want to make sure. Wallman is Wallman, doesn't matter. It's spelled different in the two areas, but that's okay, as long as we understand it's Wallman, and that's for both.
Very good.
Okay.
Before I entertain a motion, I'd just like, is there any comments from the commission?
I think Derek did an excellent job on the overview. I think their risk profile, I think they're very aligned with the township as far as a good vendor. Everything that Derek said, they met us on the financial conditions and were amenable to our input. So I feel very good about making this recommendation.
Better-known company, Michigan-based.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yep.
And I also feel they'll do well by the employees, based on the interview and the study session that we had.
Yes. Any other comments? Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved?
Second?
Second.
Well, we should read it.
Well, yeah, it's
I'll read the recommendation.
yeah.
The Groseal Toll Bridge Commission hereby recommends to the Groseal Township Board the acceptance of a proposal from the Wallman Company to provide staffing services for the Groseal Toll Bridge. Furthermore, the Bridge Commission recommends the position of office coordinator be retained as an employee of the township.
So that's your motion.
Make a,
That is
I
my
have to
motion.
second it. Go ahead.
Moved and seconded.
Second. Yep.
Any further comments?
You got to read the history, Daryl.
The Groseal Township advertised in April of 2025 for proposals for staffing of the Groseal Toll Bridge. Of the multiple proposals received, the commission interviewed 3 firms, Eagle Staffing, MCM, and Wallman Company. Of the 3 interviews, the firm that appears to provide the best value for both the township and the existing bridge staff is the Wallman Company. Following the recommendation, the township will enter into conversations with the Wallman Group Company to finalize details of the arrangement to be considered by the board at their December 8th meeting.
And the objective here is to implement by January 1st, if possible. Financial impact, it's already budgeted. No public policy issues. And the motion is out.
I need to ask, who made the motion again? Supervisor Percivalli,
No,
did
no,
you
I-
second it? Or
Oh,
you made
he made the
Thank
motion,
you,
I
Daryl.
seconded it.
Okay.
Then he went on to history. I have just one comment, Patrick, whenever
Please.
Chris is done.
All set? Or
You had said you had,
I'm done.
Oh,
I
I'm
just
sorry.
wanna
Yeah, I didn't
check
want to interrupt anything. I just want people to know that are listening. They're asking, like, why would you go to a staffing company? But the difference is this, too, that keeping Maureen, we have control over certain things. And I think that's what we wanted, is she has shown how she has performed in the last so many months. Was it 7 months or so? And I hate to let that go. She's done such an excellent job. But also, Groseal Township could be saving, if we do things correctly here, possibly a couple $100,000. Now, I know one way or another, the difference is the cost of the township, to the township rather, to have them as Groseal Township employees versus a staffing company. And then again, Maureen would become an employee of ours. And that will be worked out, how that would work with the oversight with the main staffing company and her. But it also could bring in, and when I sat down and looked at it now, is it exact? No, but it could be a couple $100,000 or close to it that we could be saving each year by the staffing company. And what makes me feel better is to have Maureen on our side overseeing, and I get it that they have to have their control because they are the company and those employees will be their employees, but we still have an eye on it. And that makes me happy. It makes me feel a lot better in control of the program, I guess it would be. So anyway, Derek, you had something?
Just real quickly, I know that during the interviews and then following the interviews, there were some conversations between the township and Wallman with regards to some components of the agreement. There was some additional information that was sent over that I think addressed some of those things, but I would like to make sure that the commission is involved in finalizing any outstanding items that might exist to ensure that, everything we discussed is in writing and in the proposal. We had talked about, overtime, overhead, things of that sort. So I'll be working with you as the motion indicates to make sure that the final negotiations and arrangements are completed, hopefully before it goes to the board on the 8th. So that would be my intent. And, so just want to add that.
Thank you.
Very good. So there's a motion on the floor and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, it passes.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Derek, for all that. And Maureen, if you're back, I see you. I'm sorry. You're hiding behind the podium. Thank you so much for all you do. I'm serious. I mean that.
And your patience.
Thank you. Okay, we have another item here. There's a draft of a potential ordinance for the toll bridge. Would you like to comment on that, Derek?
Yeah, just briefly. So, as we had discussed at previous meetings, the operation of the toll bridge and how the toll bridge operations relate to the customers under a private ownership is much different than what it is in a public ownership. Any regulations that we impose as a public entity have to be designed and implemented via ordinance. So what was asked of staff, and this is 95%, 99% Maureen and her staff that put this together. What was asked of them is to give us a list of common occurrences, issues that they see in operations where rules and regulations need to be memorialized in that ordinance so that they have the teeth of a township law to allow them to control operations as it relates to customers. So Maureen gave me a great list, and the majority of that is what makes up this ordinance. That list was provided to our attorney. She put together this draft, and it's being brought to you this evening for review and comment. This is on as a discussion item. It's not on as an action item. I think probably at our next meeting, after you've had an opportunity to review it and make comment on it, and additions and deletions, we can bring it back as an action item, and then it would go to the township board for approval as an official ordinance. So that is why it's before you this evening for your discussion. I believe between myself and Maureen, we can probably address any questions you might have about any of the content. So that is it in a nutshell.
I noticed one thing I'd perhaps suggest you put in there is something relative to disregarding directions from the bridge operation personnel. I'm not sure if that's in there clearly. Maybe it is. And I also notice you have a section that I guess it's to be developed as penalties for violations, which is not yet determined.
Yeah, and we'll have to discuss that with the attorney to see what is the proper penalties for these items and where to classify some of these things, because there are certain violations in here that might fall into different categories of criminal behavior.
Right.
Yes.
Other comments?
Yes, it makes a lot of sense. I think it's a great document, and with a few tweaks it would work. But is this, since really the headquarters of the toll bridge and all of the offensive items would happen in Riverview, how does the Grosse Ile ordinance work for a facility that's really based in Riverview?
That's a great question. She didn't seem to oppose any.
I mean, how's it enforceable?
Well, Joe, go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, no. Oh,
Well, one comment I have about that is, if you're talking about criminal behavior, then you're talking about what police force steps in and what judge controls, blah, blah, blah. But if you're talking about revoking privileges on the bridge or adding a fine to your bridge pass or something like that, I don't see the city of Riverview
makes
having
sense.
any
Jurisdiction.
control over that, and
Yeah.
that would be up to us.
Right.
And there are certain components of the bridge that are in Groseal jurisdiction and certain components that are in Riverview jurisdiction, but Joe, I'm sure.
Yeah, no, Chris Johnson, just to differentiate from all the Chris's we have here.
Christine,
Yeah, I'm sorry.
no, I mean, just to keep us straight.
Oh, I thought you meant Christine Johnson. Is that? Okay, so anyway, Chris came to me with excellent question because we had many jurisdictional challenges on a couple of very serious issues on both bridges. And those jurisdictional issues was that of the 33rd District Court in criminal prosecutions. And it was challenging. We had to show a couple different things. So my question, I'm going to call Kristen tomorrow. And since Chris brought that up now, there are some provisions in the state of Michigan that when a city owns property in another city, they still have laws pertaining to it, but unfortunately it gets kind of convoluted where the other police department has to respond. See, just because we own property in the city of Riverview, our police wouldn't respond. Let's just say an assault and battery occurred at the toll booth. That toll booth is in the city of Riverview. Groseal Police wouldn't, well, hopefully would probably respond to help out anyway, just because it's part of our ownership, if you will. But the Riverview Police Department and Riverview jurisdiction in their court, which is totally different than our 33rd District Court. So, Chris, I'm glad you brought that up. I will get an answer for you tomorrow and the rest of the board to see what Kristen feels. I do know that the provision for, like, I think it's the city of Warren, they seem to own property all over. I don't know, just something like that. Maybe Detroit. But I think their laws pertain, but the jurisdiction of, Derek said it, some of these things are, I mean, you assault a person, that's a crime, that's an A and B, that's a misdemeanor or an aggravated misdemeanor. So there are some things that we need to know before we move forward. I'm going to get an answer for you. I'll have an answer for you tomorrow, and I'll put it out. But that's very, that was an excellent question of once we put this whole thing together, does it fall apart? Christine, again, made an excellent point, because anything that's administrative, that's no big deal. That can fly. You lose this, you get added this, you get this taken away, you get your privileges, you get spanked. That's different. But when it comes to criminal prosecution, I'll have that though. And I don't see an issue. It's just it's going to have to go through Riverview, because Riverview doesn't have their ordinances on our property in there, but it's still covered. I mean, they can still use their laws on our property for many things.
When you follow up on that, you might want to ask too, sometimes jurisdictions have memorandum of understanding with each other.
Yeah.
That allows for concurrent jurisdiction. So I don't know if we would desire that, but it's possible.
Kristen
that
will tell
Riverview-
us, yeah.
Yeah.
That's
would want to
very
engage
good.
in that kind of an agreement with us, and then we can have our.
Because there are a lot of cities that own property in other cities.
Yes.
Yes.
And when you're on that other city, who, they had, the statutes had to come up with something to be able to, prosecute, unfortunately, because some things could happen. It's like a serious traffic accident on the bridge or an arrest, I mean, so. Thank you, though, Derek, for that explanation.
Very good.
So item 4, automatic toll collection, KK, that is our township attorney? That's on the
Yes,
comments?
yes, it is.
Okay, I thought so. Right now, we have it, credit card shall be required. If you go over the Blue Water Bridge, it's credit card only. You go over Mackinac Bridge, they'll take cash and credit. When the Free Bridge was shut down before, people were paying their pucks in cash and credit card, because we have residents, older population, they don't have credit cards. I stood there and watched myself, so it's not hyperbole. So I would recommend, as the township attorney said, that we allow cash payment in addition to credit cards. Also, I researched, there's a House bill going through right now to enforce that you can pay with cash or credit card. So, support that comment. Well, if you can find them, sir. And then I'm glad we talked about the assault battery, the theft, because it didn't really, these are already on the books, right, as far as, so I didn't understand why we would have this no user of the toll bridge, because this could be, Michigan compiled law version 2, right? As far as it could go on quite a bit. So I didn't understand why we were repeating stuff that were already in regular statutes.
We have ordinances, and the difference is when you have your own ordinance, it's handled through your court, not a state prosecutor. That's the difference. Our own prosecutor handles it, which is through, Kristen Kolb's firm. And that's why we have ordinances that align with state law. They're exact, but we adopt our own ordinances, just like Grosse, believe it or not, has a drunk driving ordinance, because it's handled through our prosecutor, through the city or through the township, as opposed to the state prosecutor through Wayne County. That's why you see things that are probably doubled up in ordinances that are aligned with, but we have to align with state law. You can't make it stricter than what state law is. We can't just come up with our own.
So when do we determine something like, say, I'm looking at battery in here. Why battery's already covered is if it's would battery at the toll plaza versus battery on our side of the bridge, why would that be in the ordinance?
Simply because I think if anything we want that occurs on the bridge, we want control of it in our court. Because we want control of it in a local prosecutor under an ordinance as opposed to the state prosecutor.
So because it's in our ordinance, it would supersede what Riverview does as far as arresting people and how it gets prosecuted?
No, that'd be a good question. Though.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a good question then.
Unless you have this
Yeah.
memorandum of understanding
Yeah.
or whatever, I don't think you're gonna have
Christine knows
the
I was leading the
authority
witness.
to do that. So, another option here would be for any criminal matters, that would give us administrative action to restrict use of the bridge or have a bridge pass or those things, but we wouldn't be necessarily carrying out any
See,
criminal.
if Riverview says we'll allow your ordinance, but we'll enforce it, that's okay, because see, we can come up with our own, what we want them enjoined from, obviously, is what it is.
Yeah.
And it goes to a list of items that we don't want have occur on the toll bridge. And that's one of the reasons.
I understand as far as these are already in MCL, right? So this,
Correct.
Yeah, so this is why I was going back to.
Probably an
It's-
ordinance to Riverview. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but it's probably in an ordinance, in Riverview's ordinances.
Would we want this to say, oh, you lose the ability to have a bridge pass, like a puck, because we're not checking ID going over if I pay cash. I understand the ordinance that it was only section 10 of the use of the toll bridge that, I don't know if we needed a separate study group for, but it seemed to diverge from the general, how much for the toll, who gets to go across for free, are we going to take credit cards or cash in addition to credit cards? And then we got into the assault, battery, theft, so on and so forth, waste, littering. And I thought, wow, I didn't know why this would be in an ordinance, and then how it interacted with Riverview. And
I'll get that tomorrow for you.
things.
I'll have all those questions answered.
And one other question, I guess, point is we have a liability insurance policy. I would just look at that to make sure that this covers anything that's mentioned in there. Specifically, I don't know if there is, but I would just compare the two just to make sure.
On exclusions.
Yeah, I don't know what's in the policy, but.
Yeah, all good questions. We'll follow up with Kristen on a couple of these items that need clarification and get you guys some answers.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much.
Any others?
Excellent questions, though, I gotta say.
Thanks to the staff and everybody down there at the bridge for helping to put this together. They know that place better than any one of us ever could, so they know the circumstances they're running across. So
Oh, these are all real world, Maureen, these are all real world experiences. You could, you have a logbook that says all this and you just kind of copied and pasted from that? Wow,
Right.
thank you.
Okay, before public comment, is there anything anybody wants to add? We haven't covered? Open it for public comment, if there is any. Being no public comment, I'm open for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Moved and supported. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? We're adjourned. Thank you very much.
Thank you.